how is climate change represented in the Sahel region, and how is it impacting children, the youth? And I was telling you at the beginning that those are the first victims in the Sahel region, and Marie-Pierre Poirier was saying that it's the region that is less emitting greenhouse gases in the world, but due to the degradation of environment, the Sahel region is confronted with drought, coastal erosion, um, hunger, uh, urban pollution, and this is part of your daily life. And this crisis has a consequence on everyone, children, adults, but more children and adolescents because you are most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change. We'll give you the floor in a minute, but allow me to introduce Oladosu Adenike. Good morning. Oui.
Merci d'être avec nous.
Thank you for being with us. There might be a small delay due to translation. You are in Nigeria, you are 27, you are an activist for environment in your country, and you have launched a campaign to speak on behalf of the youth at the UN. You are a very active woman. Can you tell us in a few words how you started all this?
Hello?
Vous nous entendez?
Yeah, I can't understand because I'm speaking English.
So
vous n'entendez
basically,
pas la phrase?
Oladosu, we'd like to understand how your activism, climate activism, was born. Could you tell us about how it all started for you?
Okay, very well, thank you. I first of all understand the reality of the climate change crisis. When I schooled in the food basket of the nation in Benue State, so I understand the fact that
Oladosu, just a second, I'll need to translate. Il faut d'abord comprendre la réalité de la crise climatique.
There I saw the clashes between the farmers and the herdsmen.
J'ai vu beaucoup de
So these clashes usually lead to the loss of lives and livelihoods, and it makes our diversity to be fragile.
ces conflits.
And when I saw this, I saw that it can lead to ethno-religious war because there is little or no awareness about the impact of climate change crisis and where I am from. So I began to educate school children because I know that it is good that we start educating them when they are young, to catch them young, so that when they grow sustainably, because everyone is needed to be part of the solution when it comes to climate justice.
Donc j'ai
Well initiated the Fridays for Future in Africa.
Et
young people become part of the decision making of their tomorrow. Thank you.
pour que understood the ago, and it's been we can say that quite disappointing in terms of commitments around fossil energies. How come that wealthy countries, those that pollute the most, haven't been able to come to an agreement when it comes to helping developing countries join the fight on climate change?
Yeah, I think this year I wrote an article when they declared this year as a decade of action, and I mentioned the fact that this decade rather should be declared as a decade of political will.
J'ai d'ailleurs
It is political will, then we can see how action can be done on its own without bringing young people on the street that should be in school or doing other things to be demanding from our leaders. I think it's a shameful thing to our leaders to see that young people are on the street demanding for what it should be their responsibility.
Pour leur montrer ce que sont leurs responsabilités.
They are also making commitment of 2060, 2050 or thereabout. And all of these commitments, they are trying to shift their responsibility to the next generation. They are not ready to be responsible for climate action because the more they shift it, the more they are denying the fact that climate change exists and the more they are not keeping to their leadership framework.
Ils ont fait
invariably the decision taken there is it's not up to it is not even compared to the reality on ground currently that is happening in the Sahel and where I am currently, because this morning I have gone to a refugee camp that was displaced through the clashes between the farmers and the herdsmen fighting for a resources that is shrinking, the land, the water, and the arable lands as well.
L'eau.
It's not all about our commitments, the number of commitment that was made at COP. It is all about those commitments becoming a reality as fast as possible.
Donc,
because we do not have enough humidity on the soil for some areas, this additional heat has an impact on that soil, which will increase its temperature because in the Sahel region, there is uncertainty. If you take the central part of the Sahel region, we are planning to have more rainfall, and this abundance of rainfall will bring more humidity and indirectly will alleviate this um, heating phenomenon. And this is related specifically to the central area of the Sahel region, Mali, Burkina, Chad, all the way to Sudan. If we look at the rain patterns, we can put forth the assumptions that we will have a dry season that is shorter, which is great for agriculture, but we will also have an increase of rainfall, and in urban areas, it can lead to floods. The fact that we will have more rainfall in average, is good news, yes, but behind we can have hazards on the economy, agriculture, well-being, and health of populations if we do not have the appropriate adaptation measures in place. It is important that the biggest polluters in the world, those who are emitting greenhouse gases the most, commit to this energy transition so that we're able to achieve the goals of COP. And it is stated in this report that developed countries should support less developed countries to adapt to climate change by having a green fund and putting in place adaptation policies. And we can't wait for others to do something for us Africans. There are actions that should be led by us at national level, local level, at regional level. And we shouldn't expect support from elsewhere. We should be at the forefront in this fight. Thank you very much, Arona Jeju, for giving us some of your time. At the end of this COP26, we will have a chat with you later on. Now let's go to Mauritania. I think Muna is there waiting for us. Good morning, Muna Ahmed. Good morning. How old are you? I'm 28. You're 28, Muna. Are you already seeing the impacts of climate change in a city like Nouakchott where you live? In Nouakchott and even in other cities of the countries, we see a rise of temperatures that were already very high, and it's increasing year after year. And in some areas, it's unbearable. We are talking about desertification in many areas in Mauritania. We also talk of disrupted rainfalls, and you have areas in Mauritania with water stagnating in some areas, with a lot of waste around. So you can imagine the smell, the stench, the diseases from that. And we also have water from wastage that also accumulates in houses. So how can we, in the face of lack of infrastructure, sanitation infrastructure, tackle this increase of rainfall, or even adapt to the rise of the water levels? So there is no infrastructure in this regard. We also have, as I was saying, the disruption of rainfall patterns. We know that today in Mauritania and in other countries of the Sahel region, cities are very thirsty. We have the city of Telija. It's a very good image, which is the capital of the region of Tagan, and we are lacking water resources, and this is increasing year after year. We had no rainfall, or it was quite scarce this year, despite the fact that we have producers, farmers, dates farmers, herders in this city, and we're wondering if drought were to increase in the coming years, how would we survive as far as agriculture is concerned, animal husbandry as well? Um, how would the populations cope? Would they have to leave? It is very relevant and very interesting what you're saying, Muna. When preparing this debate with your other colleagues in Nouakchott, you were saying that it would be good to have an environment police. How do you conceive that? It is something to be put into perspective, because in our countries, people are not very much aware of the climate issue. They have other problems to solve. We are in a continent with the poorest population. I'm not talking of countries, but population. Our problem is not more about resources, but the management of resources. But with this poor population, the concerns that we have are related to what to eat, how would we feed our children, how would we tackle the environment, the employment issue for the youth. So before having this environment police, we need to raise awareness first. For me, it is very important to advocate for the environment through media, TV, cardboards, etc. We need to raise awareness so that people see climate change as part of their priority. We were talking of scarcity of water resources, which could become more important in the coming years, and this will affect their daily lives. So people need to understand that, and awareness raising would have found its rationale. And as anywhere else, environment needs to have policies, laws to be enacted, and to be binding all citizens. And we need to make sure that we have law enforcement agents for that. So awareness raising, pedagogy, and some repression. Why not with this police? Thank you very much, Muna, for your contribution, for sharing your expertise. Please stay with us. Sumaila, good morning from Mali. Sumaila from Mali. I heard Sumaila speak. Good morning, how are you? Very good, how are you? Thank you very much. I'm fine. How old are you, Sumaila? I'm 24. So 24, young adult from the Sahel region. Sumaila, you're here to show us a drawing that you entitled The Climate Change City. So this is a pleasure to be here, to be the voice of the millions of young people who cannot be here today. So this is a drawing which I entitled The City of Climate Change, or Climate Change City. And this is to somehow showcase a negative behavior of human beings on the climate. You see the plants, manufacturing plants, and you also see roads in between those plants. And you can see a man cutting trees or green spaces that are dedicated to animals and human beings to build houses on them. Now, what are the manufacturing plants doing to the environment? And you can correct me, you environment specialist, if I'm wrong. So there is a layer that is supposed to protect us from X-rays, from the sun rays. So you have the smoke, greenhouse gases that are emitted, and this is affecting this layer, and it's exposing us to sun rays. And this exposure to sun rays is harmful to us, and this increases the heat. The same way, you have cars and other vehicles used that have the same effect as the Fatoumata, who is 8 years old, told us. Cutting trees, for instance, has many negative consequences on our health, on the economy as well, and even, and most importantly, on the environment. You see that the demographics of the city are quite numerous. You see many people cutting trees to build houses. So by cutting trees, we human beings are the ones being affected by the negative impacts of it. Sumaila, you have very well summarized the situation. We can see a very big city, and looking at your drawing, we can imagine that this is Bamako. Maybe one day Bamako will look like that. So if there is a sector that is important for the development of your country, it's agriculture. We know that climate change has consequences on agriculture, and it's an engine for the development of your country. So do you feel that farmers have in mind that it is of paramount importance to change their practices so that they can mitigate these negative impacts of climate change? Do you feel that they have a sense of that? It is sad as a truth, but they are not aware of the negative impacts of climate change, even though they are very much impacted. Many of them are illiterate, and this is aggravating the situation. And in their conscience, they believe that nature is an infinite resource. They shouldn't preserve the environment. It was something that was God given. So farmers are not really aware of what is happening around them and how they should change their practices, habits, etc., and how the rise of temperatures is reducing the yields. We shouldn't throw stones on farmers who are actually being impacted by the human activities of the more developed countries. Thank you very much, Somaila, for your contribution. Thank you for this great drawing, and we wish you success for the next texts. We know that you are very much involved in activism around climate change. For the others, you have your phones with you, you have spared your afternoon, your morning, you have met your neighbors, your family members to ask them about how they perceive this climate change situation. Kenyan, good morning. Kenyan, good morning. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. We can hear you from afar, Kenyan. Can you come closer to the microphone? We can see you on the video. You are on screen, like a journalist, a reporter, and I've heard you talk to your neighbors, your family members, ask them questions, interviewing them. Can you tell us how it went? What did your family members tell you about climate change? For them, it is very trendy, and they know that it has consequences on our families, our community. So we are trying to commit the youth in planting trees. Do you have the feeling that after these interviews that you carried out, people have changed their perception of climate change, or do you believe that it will be very difficult to convince the elderly people? We have a technical problem with Kenyan from Chad. We can't hear her. We are live, and it happens many times. Often we have these problems with big media houses. Now let's move to Musa. Musa from Senegal, who sent us a beautiful piece of work, an article he wrote. Good morning, Musa. How are you? I'm fine, thank you very much. I am thrilled and happy this morning because I feel that I am connected to the youth in the Sahel region, from which you are a member. You have an article where you have a taxi driver, trader, and other actors in it that are represented. Can you tell us more about it? I would like to thank first and foremost UNICEF for this initiative and all the other organizers of this debate, this conversation. As you said, I have published an article to talk about the perception of climate change in our country. And in the article, in the abstract, I have a grandfather, a trader, bus driver, and a student. And all these people are exchanging around this issue of climate change and this heat that, and they're all trying to have a say on this situation. And some of them are very superstitious. What I was trying to do is that I was trying to represent how people feel about it. Some people think that it's from God, it's God sent, and some others have another perception. Mustafa, for having read this article, are you the young Mustafa who is raising awareness among the elder people? It's Sheikh, actually. Sheikh. I am Sheikh, and I wanted to represent myself as somebody who has the responsibility, the duty to convey the message in the best way that could be understood by anyone, because very often climate change is represented or defined in very technical words. So I wanted to somehow democratize this debate and make it more understandable by the audience. Thank you very much, Mustafa, from Senegal. Which city in Senegal? So you're in Dakar, the capital city of Senegal. I am in Dakar. We might meet in the streets of Dakar this afternoon. Thank you very much. Now we have Chad that is back with Kenyan with a beautiful microphone, as she would be on a radio station, for instance. Kenyan, I can see you on your camera. Can you hear me? Yes. What do you want to tell us this morning? I would like to say that Chad is part of the fight, and we are very committed as young people, very motivated to support our country. And this is a hope. Do you believe that it can come to reality? Yes, I believe so, with the support of our government and other partners and sponsors. And do you feel that you are committed to 100, 300%? I can even say 500% committed. Do you have anything to add before we give the floor to other participants? Yes, as you asked in the report, I spoke with older people to ask them how they see climate change, but they were telling me that they're not very much aware. They had not been asked such questions before, but they were happy to be interviewed on the issue. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we wish you well in Chad. Let us talk about a very concrete consequence. Let us talk about water shortage in Sahel, where this is a very tense issue. In Burkina Faso, we have somebody with us from Burkina Faso. You are the representative of Burkina Faso in Burkina Faso. What is quite striking in Burkina Faso is that close to 95% children are hit by water shortage. I would want to wish a happy anniversary to all children in the Sahel region. Climate change is of concern to youth in Burkina Faso, and I have been excited by what participants indicated. The participation of youth is more and more important. Of Faso, agriculture is the backbone of the economy, and over 80% of the population is active in that sector. The impact within families and on poverty is visible on a daily basis. It is important to remind that a few days, for instance, I was in the Divo region, which is the Sahel, and what I would want to share with you is that there has been no rain whatsoever to year, and the Divo Dam had no water. The consequence for children and the whole population, which is already suffering from other ills, has been important. It is important that we talk about it. And I have two young people in Burkina and one from that Sahel region to share their view. The consequences of climate change exposes children to a food crisis, which is going up, and to diseases, but also to stress. The thermal stress, the health situation goes with very many factors. Unfortunately, all that brings us backward, while Burkina was then in a very positive move. This year, UNICEF put in place a climate index. What is the impact of climate change on children? Unfortunately, Burkina Faso is considered as a high-risk country in that regard. It is important that youth take part in addressing that issue. For quite some time, we've been involving them at UNICEF. What we are trying to show now is how to better listen to young people, to better train them so that they talk about climate change and how they can be put into contact with other officials. So the best way to show you how we go about it is to give the floor to Maiga, who comes from the Sahel region, and another one from the Northwest. I think these are the ones who will be carrying the change and who have to make the statements. Of course, we want to hear them speak up. Maiga, good morning to you. Good morning, says Maiga. How old are you, Maiga? I am 25 years old. 25. So you are the one coming from the Sahel region. Yes, indeed, I am the one coming from the Sahel region. You have a number of displaced people, which is not known to people who don't know very much about the country
There is a security crisis and an environment crisis. Hundreds of people are listening to you. You are followed on Facebook in Kinshasa, in Southern Sudan, in South Africa, all over Africa. As we were you were told, I am from the Sahel region in Burkina Faso, which is the most stricken region by climate change. This is where you can see the climate change bringing about a very severe drought, very low and scattered rainfall, because we did not have as much rainfall as we used to have. And like the UNICEF representative said, the Divo communities are facing this hardship from water shortage. There have been a drying up of all this water. It's the same situation in Dori, in Gorongorong, in Seba, and the security issues add up onto that stress, with a number of consequences that make life very difficult in those regions. We have a number of schools that have been closed. We have over 1 million people who are internally displaced, who are fleeing towards the main districts, and health centers are no longer working. And we see terrorist attacks who are attacking the water infrastructure, which is putting at jeopardy those infrastructures throughout the country, which is hindering water distribution, as well as the cattle breeding activities, which is a main activity in the region. There have been tensions, there are tensions that are cropping up within communities, because you have the host community and next to it the displaced communities. And water was already an issue in the Sahel region, and with additional refugees coming in, the situation is worsening. And indeed, we have to try as young people to contribute to finding solutions. And for that purpose, we try and raise awareness to promote peace and social justice, and while trying and to see how to alleviate this hardship. You have the shortage, you have stress, you have conflicts that are widespread in our region. Thank you very much for this wonderful stock taking of your region in Burkina Faso. You are the three borders region, as you are commonly called. You are right. I would want to give the floor to another youngsters. The region is very specific in the problems it is facing. I'm from the Central Eastern region. We have 13 regions in our countries, and young people are gathered around associations to tackle the water shortage issues. There is always drought in Burkina Faso, but on top of it, we have a genuine water shortage. So what we do as young people is to raise awareness to try and fight that issue. And how do we go about it? Sensitization is conducted at several levels. First of all, sensitization among young people, and then sensitization among adults. And young people go to schools, to high schools, and try and have theater plays, drama playing, conferences, to try and raise the awareness and encourage them to take up the issue. Sensitization is completely different with adults, because we conduct it within communities. We go to villages with partners and several associations At times, we sit close to rivers to try and show them how it is low, the levels are lowering. And we try and give them a conference, a talk on the situation and tell them what actions them as parents should conduct and sensitize children. And we conduct activities such as reforestation. And as many people said, in other countries, desertification is increasing in Sahel, and it is the main sign of climate change. And in Burkina Faso, we have undertaken reforestation to combat desertification. And with associations, we have reforestation camps. Today we have one in Sabo. For those who know Burkina Faso, in Sabo we have planted 1,200 trees. It is not much, but it shows that we understood that how humble an action is would contribute to fighting climate change. We do conduct actions in our own ways to try and fight. It should be noted that there has been a laudable action that the Bukunjimund region young people undertook. I have Mr. Abdullahi from that region who is here, who are trying, collecting plastic bags and turning them into pavement material. I don't know whether you can see it. There have been very many young people who are impatient to take the floor. We did clearly understand the actions you are undertaking and the passion you have, which shows in your talk. Anybody else would want to take the floor, Farida? Or let us go to Niger, because Jamila is there and would want to take the floor. Sandra, what is your suggestion? Maybe Suleiman or Farida, it would be interesting to listen to them if you have time. Either Suleiman or Farida, something concise, please, because time is against us. So let us give the floor to Farida then. She is age 12. Farida, 12 years old, who, if I'm not wrong, is passionate about this issue. She's very concerned about climate change, and ever since she was aged just 5. Good morning. Good morning. I am fine. We can see you now. Please, you are the one we are listening to. Just speak, please. Get the microphone closer because I cannot hear Farida. Farida, as if you are at home. Don't be intimidated. There are hundreds of young people listening to you. When I was 5, I liked flowers. When I got 7, I started liking trees and not just flowers. And this led me to ask my auntie to buy plants for me. And by taking care of those plants, I created a garden, and these plants have become trees that are bearing fruits. And when I see people buying plastic bags, I went to my aunt again to allow me to join a club which is fighting against scattering plastic bags, plastic waste. After that, our association, which is the Sahelian Young People's Network in Favor of Nature, we have been active in environment protection. I do sensitize my friends at school, in the street, so that the plastic waste be put in special waste buckets so as to protect the environment. I draw their attention on the environment issues, because I tell them that it is an emergency. Either you act today or you perish. This is the choice to be made. On this International Day for Children, I invite all children of the world to do like myself and undertake action so as not to perish. I hope you would be a role model for other children in the world. Congratulations. I know it wasn't easy for you to talk and that is quite normal. But in the end, you made it well. Your message has gone across. We will open the floor to other young people. We heard young people from Burkina Faso. Now we give the floor to others. Jamila, you are with us. Jamila is age 23. She is studying law at the Tawa University. She's very much involved in NGOs, young people NGOs. Jamila, you have the floor now. I can see you now, but I can't hear you. Maybe you should switch on your mic. We still can't hear Jamila. You can hear me, but I fail to hear you. Can someone assist and get Jamila's mic on? Sorry. Everybody is trying to assist and in connecting Jamila's mic. We still can't hear her. We'll get back to her later on. Maybe Yvette, either Yvette or Luis Maria. Louis Marie, who is in which country again? Louis Marie, could you remind us which country you are in? Or Yvette or Jamila? Can you hear me now? Says Jamila, we can hear you loud and clear now. You see, technology, when it works, is fantastic. I am fine. You are okay? Yes. It's a bit complicated to find the right button. Jamila, the issue of access to water in a country like Niger, could you please tell us more about it in something like 2 minutes? Thank you very much. Here in Niger, we suffer from water shortage, which is feeding into conflicts and poverty. In other words, and it is something that has been perduring for years now. Though our water resources are huge, all regions are not free from water shortage. Some time ago, we had the official launch by the Ministry of Environment to have a plan with UNIPRO Niger, who opened a workshop organized by the Ministry of Environment in the 8 regions to reassert the commitment of young people to support this initiative at local, regional, and national levels. We have to change our mindset and commit ourselves to bettering our country. Can you hear me? Yes, we do hear you. We hear you loud and clear. This will enable us to move forward in solving issues facing the country. Thank you very much for that message. This is an opportunity for me to greet everyone with you. You are not alone. I am congratulating all of you. Louis Marie is back with us. He is age 16 years. He's from Cameroon. Good morning, Louis Marie. How are you? I am fine. How about you? How old are you? You are 16 years old. Yes, I am 16 years old. In which country, in which city are you? In Bertoua, in the eastern part, in Bertoua. I did not know which town you were in. That's the reason why I asked the question. You two, in that region of yours, you are very much concerned about access to water. Not directly. What I can say is, as we are in the eastern part of the country, which is the closest to the Sahel region, we are affected by climate change as it occurs on the other side of the border, because the more it degrades, the more the desert would encroach into our countries, into our region, sorry. Water shortage does affect, I thought you had finished. Water shortage does affect economic activities, and it is condoned by increase in population, climate, the rise in temperature, desert encroaching due to tree cutting, water pollution. Water pollution by industrial waste, chemical waste from environments entails destruction of the ozone layer and water beds, which causes floods that destroy agricultural production and entails waste in lives. The lack of the shortage of food and lack of hygiene entails diseases, and people are always in quest of water, which is exposing them to conflicts. For instance, in the village of Eric in Dachika, all children, or rather girls, wake up at 3 a.m. to go to fetch water because in their culture it's only girls who go and fetch water, which is affecting their rate of school enrollments of girls, and entails bad results at school for those who manage to go to school, because they are impacted by the burden of all those tasks. And some move to other regions to look for arable land, and others would go to find animal feed. Thank you very much for your contribution and your reflection on this topic, and showing us what the eastern region in Cameroon looks like. Salomon, you are in Nigeria. Good morning, Salomon. Can you hear us? Salomon, are we connected with Solomon in Nigeria? Otherwise, we move to Amsatou, who is in Mali. What is the technical side allowing us to connect with? Amsatou, are you connected? Solomon in Nigeria, you are the one connected. Can you hear us? Je vais bien, merci, dit Solomon. Merci beaucoup. I will leave the interpreter talk for me. Solomon, please explain to us, as we are talking about the impact of problems related to water issue. What would...
Can I get someone to translate for me, please?
Ah, est-ce que quelqu'un peut traduire, s'il vous plaît, à Salomon? Alors,
savoir si lui reçoit l'interprétation ou pas. La traduction est en cours. Is Amsatou connected? I was told yes. Can we see her now? Yes, Amsatou is with us. Good morning. Good morning, Amsatou. You are age 14. Are you okay? Yes, I am, says Amsato. Everything will be well, Amsato. Don't be shy. You did run away from your village, which is Bankas, after an attack in 2019, and you are now living in Mopti. And age just 14, you are taking in charge issues, helping refugees by initiating them to the hygiene rules in the context of this pandemic. You noted that rains are becoming Amsatu is not speaking French. We have to translate for her. Please give us time to translate for her in our local language because she doesn't speak French. Amsatu is speaking her local language. She is a Fulani. She was saying that rainfalls are dwindling and there are some violent winds and there are fewer trees. This is what she has noted and connected to climate change. And she would want to see change occurring. And she would want the young people to find solution, especially for a displaced person like herself. She would want to join other young people to try and find solutions to what she has noted as climate change. Thank you very much. Thank you and congratulations for everything you are doing, because you feel you are involved, you are engaged, despite the very difficult situation in which you are living. Louis-Marie, can we get back to you? Louis-Marie in Cameroon. I hope the simultaneous translation issue has been solved. We are currently talking about access to water. You have the floor. Solomon rather than Louis-Marie, it's Solomon in Nigeria. In the Sahel region, families go very long distances to fetch water. They find, and mainly women and girls are the ones who in their culture have that as a task to them. So this entails a lower level of school registration among girls. And most of these people find themselves caught in between conflicts between cattle breeders and farmers. And because very often cattle does destroy the farms. Please let us give the floor to Solomon in Nigeria, hoping that he would listen, he would hear the interpreters. You are over 100 young people connected, and I got disconnected in my brain and gave the floor to the wrong person. Can you hear us, Solomon? Solomon, can you hear us? We would want you to tell us about access to water. Solomon, can you hear the interpreter?
What do you want to say and to tell us about access to water in your country, Nigeria?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to say that children and young people are more vulnerable to climate change impacts due to their limited adaptation capacity and lack of decision-making problem. So this climate change effect has brought about the strong relationship between climate change and alarming insecurity cases in the Sahel zone of Nigeria, which has brought about poverty, drought, and this drought has brought about the effect of crop yield, which has led to food insecurity. and the access to their resources has been like a competition between the cause of the insecurity, which is the clashing between the farmers and the herdsmen. So it has displaced them from their home. This major conflict, which is caused by the climate change, has displaced people from their home. So this has been one of the major direct effect of climate change on the Sahel region. So this has affected the access to water, and that's basically the effect of climate change and access to water in the Sahel zone of Nigeria, the insecurity.
Oui.
Au conflit et à l'insécurité. Est-ce que vous avez entendu? S'il vous plaît, Juan, est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire si vous nous entendez? Aji, can you hear us? Aji, who would want to become a journalist, maybe not like myself, but Sandra Latouf, you were with us earlier on with a number of young people. Can we get back to you for 1 or 2 minutes with all the young people surrounding you? I'm back to Ouagadougou. Let us talk about, is anyone listening to the English? Is anyone listening to the English?